What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Chelsie, and this is Jay back with another episode of the Loan Limit Podcast. Welcome back. You know,
Yes.
I gotta say, thanks for being here, guys. Episode 2.
Yeah.
We working out the kinks still, but we here.
Trying something a little
You
new.
know, you know, Jay, how you doing? It's been a week. You left me actually.
I
Um,
did.
for those who don't know, Jay and I talk every day.
Not
Every day.
every day.
And then she likes to go on trips and she leaves me.
I did. I
Jay, would
left.
you
I'm
like to explain
sorry.
yourself?
It was very last minute, which is like on par with my family. My brother called me and was like, "Hey, I'm heading down. Like, can you hop on a plane?" And I was like, sure." And like literally a day later I left. So I have been all over the place because it's just been like I've been with family and everything like that, and some beautiful things are going on in real life here. But like this book world has been like for me. And yeah, we haven't talked or connected too much. And then as much as I
No.
love doing this podcast, the one thing I can't stand is that we can't talk about the book we're reading about for the podcast until we do the podcast. So
Guys,
I've been like
guys,
punching the air and stuff this whole week because I can't talk to Chelsie.
when I tell you she's not enjoying this hold everything until the podcast moment,
Nope.
I mean, Jay has been sneaky recently. Jay has been trying to trick me into having conversations, giving
I got that
spoilers,
game
because
because you haven't broken yet.
I read the book faster than Jay. You know what? It is what it is.
Disrespectfully
I'm not making.
faster, actually. Like, we
Listen,
picked
I'm
it.
not.
It wasn't even
I'm
time
not.
to start reading it yet. And then you were like, I'm done. I was like, what?
I just, if something interests me, I'm gonna read it. Okay, and if there's a reason for me to avoid work, I'm gonna avoid it. You know what I mean?
That's funny. That's
So
funny. I did
yeah,
not have the same reading
it
experience
is
with the
what it
book.
is.
It took me time. I needed breaks. A lot of them.
What
A
do you mean?
lot of them.
You know what? We'll get into.
A
We
lot
will
of
get
them.
into that later, Jay. It's gonna be okay, girl. It's gonna be okay. I
I'm gonna make it
promise
through.
you.
I'm gonna make it through.
We read
I'm gonna
it.
make it through.
We're on the other side now. All right. Here comes the fun part. But I feel
This is true.
like, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about before we get into the book, purely because, while you've been out here jet setting, okay.
I'm in Florida.
I've been playing
That's not jet
hostess.
setting.
You got on a plane and you went coast to coast. All right.
This is true.
We're gonna call it a jet set.
I did watch the sunrise from the airplane, which I think is always beautiful.
I'm not jet setting. Whatever. But ironically enough, I had a barbecue last weekend, had some friends over who are not part of the book world.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got into an argument.
Uh-oh.
And I need your opinion on this because
you're trying to get me canceled. I haven't even started. You trying to get me canceled.
You don't even know what it's about. All right. The argument was, if you're listening to an audiobook, is it actually reading it?
Ooh. Do I have to share my opinion first? Okay. I want to share my opinion. No. I actually want to share my opinion first.
Okay.
Does audiobooks count as reading? Definitively, yes. But I will be transparent and say that in the past, I did consider it book cheating, but I have reformed my ways. I have fully accepted the audiobook community, and it was actually through accessibility that I really got to understand and appreciate it as actual reading. Because I was just like, if a person who does not have the ability to read a book with their eyes gets to read a book with their ears, I would not consider that less reading. If someone has to read a book via like Braille, I would not consider that less reading. And I figured it was pretty like disrespectful for me to not consider audiobooks actual reading. So in the past, I did not love it as an option. I did look down on it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. But now as a reformed Anyway,
Naysayer,
now
you're a
I very
reformed naysayer.
yeah, but now I very much do think that audiobook is reading full stop. I love that people have other
Mhm.
options to devour a book, read a book. I don't know, but like, yeah, I've like friends that like aren't like they weren't known as book people, and they read so much more now
Yeah.
because of audiobook. So I love that it's opening the world and including other people. I love the accessibility of it. It is still my preference to read with my eyes, but there have been several
Mhm.
books that I've read with my ears, and I've enjoyed it just the same. So absolutely, it is reading full stop.
Well, on behalf of all audiobook listeners out there, thank you for rehabilitating yourself. We really appreciate you seeing the error in your
Yeah,
ways.
thank you. It took time. It took time. But I've come around.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I've noticed myself with like the whole audiobook thing because I was like, why did I not like them? I know exactly why. And I'm not going to name names because, but when I was younger, when audiobooks like first came out, an author that I
Mm-hmm.
love for a book that I love did the audio recording of her book herself. And I read it
Oh.
and I was like, her voice is horrible. Because like I'd already read the book and I was going to read it as an
Can't.
audiobook. And it was nothing like any of the voices I had in my head. All the characters sounded different. I was like, oh no. And because she's not a professional like voice actress or anything like that, she was just
Right.
an author reading her book. And so she sounded like herself from the area of the US that she was from, which has a distinct accent and tone. And I was like, ain't none of these
Mm-hmm.
actors, none of these characters from here. What's going on? And that really put me off from audiobooks because I love this book with my eyes, but I hated it with
Yeah.
my ears. And I was like, oh no, if this is what audiobooks does, destroys what I love, I don't want it. Like I said, stupid. I, I feel like audiobooks have come such a long way. All the voice actors that contribute to this community are so good. I have some favorites, absolutely. So I just think it's come a long way. It's a lot more
Yeah.
accessible. I think you can. I know people that read books because of a voice actor is attached to it. They'll be like, "Oh, I love this voice, the
Oh,
way they read.
100%.
I'll read this book." Um, so
Listen.
yeah, it's definitely come a long way. I have recently come on the audiobook train. It has definitely allowed me to read when I'm busy. Like one of my things I like to do is play video games, and sometimes I feel guilty when I'm playing video games. I'm like, man, I could be reading. Well, with audiobooks, I
Mm-hmm.
often do play video games and read at the same time. So, I think it
Yeah.
definitely does give you more options to read a book, and I love that.
Speaking of more options to reading books,
Hmm.
so for those who don't know, I got Jay into the wonderful service known as Kindle Unlimited, right?
Why you
So
keep
Jay and
upgrading my
I,
life?
listen,
What
I'm
did you
trying
call
to
me
make
last
you better, all
episode?
right?
Frugal?
I listen, we don't need to look back into the past, all right? We're moving forward. The future,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Um, but Jay, you and I seem to be disagreeing on whether or not Kindle Unlimited is actually unlimited. And I just feel like I need the viewers to back me up on this one. Okay. Don't
First of all, how are
don't be
you
over
gonna
here
hedge
making
your
faces.
bets before
Okay.
you say what it is? Okay, go ahead.
So here's my point of view, Jay. And I'm gonna air it out for the people. Okay.
Okay.
I think Kindle Limited is unlimited. While you may only be able to rent a certain amount of books at a time, there's no limit on the month. All right. There's no limit on the year. Like we are the Loan Limit podcast for a reason. Okay. There is a limit to your loans. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean you can't return one and get a new one. So therefore, it's unlimited in my opinion. I'm just gonna say it.
For me, KU is not unlimited. I remember the first time I got it, and I was like, download, download, download. And they were like, you can't download anymore. I said, what you mean? And it was like, oh, you have to return another one. What? I haven't read it yet. I was like, oh no, you stressing me out. You stressing me out. Let me do what I want with my books. Stay out of my books, please. Um, and like I like unless I don't know how to do it, I feel like the wish list isn't how I want it because then like if I can't download it, put it on the wish list so I can get it when I want it, and they like wouldn't let me do that. Maybe I don't know. It's a chance I don't know, but I just was like, I don't
I
like
don't
this.
I don't think you know how to use it. I think the problem
That's
here,
very
Jay, is
possible.
that you
It's
don't know
user
what you're
error.
doing and you're putting it on Kindle Unlimited, okay?
It's user error.
And I won't take that slander because Kindle Unlimited has saved my life.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
Okay?
put it back on
The
you. You
amount
as
of
my book
times,
friend, why would you let me struggle not knowing what to do?
because you didn't tell me you were struggling. Speak up. Closed mouth don't get fed.
Okay.
No comebacks.
This sounds
No
like an off
comebacks for that
podcast
one.
conversation, but okay.
Listen, we can take it to the comments, all right? Y'all tell us below who's right, all right? Well, Chelsie, or Jay.
I don't like being limited with unlimited.
So I saw this post on Instagram. I'm not going to say who it was from because, I ain't saying no names. But
I feel like this is where starts most of our fights, but okay.
no, I don't, you know what? I'm not even going to speak on this one because I don't know where we're going. But I did see this post by a woman who says that when content creators post the tropes of a book, you're basically posting spoilers. And I would like to say, keep
Ooh.
posting them spoilers then, okay? Thank you for letting me
Ooh.
know what's going on because sometimes the tropes are what convince me to get into a book, all right? It is what it is. Sometimes if I read the back of the book, it's not working until I see those tropes. And then I go, you know what? Maybe I should give it a second try. What do you think, Jay? Spoiler or no?
I'm a little conflicted on this one.
How? Explain
Because
yourself.
I agree with you. I feel like sometimes knowing the tropes in the book gets me to read the book. However,
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mm-hmm.
certain tropes, you do already know what's going to happen in the book. Like, it's no secret, my favorite one is fake dating. So when you start off with a fake dating, like when you know that going in, then you know, like, I don't know, like, yeah, you know it's fake going in, whereas like discovering it in the book. But I would want to know because that's what made me go read it. So it is spoilers, but I don't think it's a bad thing. But I think it technically they are spoilers. Yes, I think they're technically are spoilers. But I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Okay.
I'm definitely like
Now,
leaning on both sides of the fence.
you were playing it safe, and now I'm going to make it just a little bit harder for you. With today's book in mind, had you read the tropes, would you have read the book? Tell me now.
No.
That's fair. That's fair.
And as we get
But
into it, I'll actually tell you why, which is crazy.
Now, if you had read the tropes, knowing that one of your most hated tropes is on this list, I know it would have stopped you from reading the book, but now with hindsight being 2020, would you still have read the book? Because I feel like you still enjoyed the book. You know what I mean?
Who said that? I actually did. I did. Okay, here's the thing. I did not. Okay, so I picked this book, right?
I feel like it was a communal effort, but
Okay.
I think we should just get into it. Let's just get into it. Today's book is Ties That Tether by Jane Igharo.
I think it's
Igharo.
Igaro. I literally asked for a friend for
What she said.
like for like enunciation help, so I think it's Jane Igaro. Because you got to sing
Jane,
sing song it.
Jane, I very much apologize for getting your last name wrong. I tried. Listen,
I don't know why I did my head while I
really
did it
did
too.
try.
Though.
You gotta sing song it is what I learned from the book. But this is one of the books off the list for the Black Romance Book Festival, which Jay and I will be attending next May. So if you got your ticket, check us out there.
Yes.
We'll try and link up with some peoples.
Yes, let's make book friends.
But let's get into it though, Jay.
Okay.
Knowing that one of your most hated tropes is in this book.
Of all time.
Let's tell the people what we're getting into this week. Okay.
Ooh, should I jump in with
How
the
would you
book
describe
summary?
this book?
Okay.
I think, yeah,
Okay.
let's give the people a little bit of what's going on.
Okay. So we have Azure. Azure? Azure.
Azere.
Azere. Thank you. Because you say it in your head differently than how you say it out loud. Okay. So she is
Man, it's like
Nigerian,
Duolingo.
which I'm not good at. Okay. So she is Nigerian Canadian and in Canada
Mm-hmm.
with her family, which is her mom and her sister after her father passed back in Nigeria. Um,
Don't forget our uncle, because that will come back into play.
I was getting there. They moved to Canada to stay with her uncle, who was her father's brother, significant.
Mm-hmm.
And his one kid or two. I think it was, let's say one.
One.
Yeah, one. Jacob, it's the boy. It was their cousin, but they were all raised like siblings, which I can say this in my household. My cousin and I were raised like siblings similar, so I definitely understand that concept. So very, very strong knit family, community, everything like that. So she is a very successful woman. She works in, was it like marketing or like advertisement type things?
Yes. Yes.
Sure. I don't know why I'm
Advertising.
asking you. We were at the same book. Okay. Yeah. So she works she works in corporate. She works in advertising in
She
Canada, in
was here on her
Toronto.
Mad Men ish. It was
It
all
was.
Mad Men,
She
you
like I
know?
was so happy for her professionally. And while she's doing this, her career is going really well, but her mother doesn't love that because her wanting to be like a typical Nigerian woman wants her to be married and with children pretty quickly. So her mom is like always setting her up on dates with Nigerian men, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
go too well because her mom is picking men for her, and that didn't go right, right? And so as all this is happening, she ends up meeting a man who is not Nigerian, and they connect
Mm-hmm.
significantly. And as life is going on, that kind of becomes a problem. We'll get there. That kind of becomes a problem with the family. As she continues has to choose between her culture and her family versus the love of her life. And that is how we got into this book.
You know,
That was such a tame summary.
listening, I really feel like you just skirted all
I
the
feel like I'm
chaos.
editing the parts that stress me out. Just edit out. Nope, that didn't happen. Nope, that didn't.
The way Jay's in denial about the plot of this book is wild
Go
to
ahead. Go
me.
ahead. I
Okay,
refuse to speak on it. Go ahead. Ugh.
let's be real. Okay, so Azere's mom sets her up on another date with another Nigerian man because she promised her father before he died that she would marry someone of the culture. But of course, her mom has bad picking, which everybody out there who's ever been set up by their mother knows is not gonna go well. Okay. Um, so after another hard date, she goes to a bar and she meets, in my head, Raphael. Because he fine in my head. All right. I don't know.
Not
In my
this
head, he fine. All
snitch.
right. Listen, okay, Raphael had me. But I think 2 plus 2 equals 4. All right. And they end up upstairs. Right.
In their case, one
Doing the
plus
deed.
one equals three. But okay.
Someone's upset. Anyways, turns out, right, this cute man she just met in the bar who's here visiting and interviewing for a job is her new coworker. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Which I knew
To
you were
make
living for
matters,
that like workplace romance.
I was and I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because there were other people hitting on my Raphael, and I literally had to be like, if you don't back up, back up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
Raphael was Raphaelin.
you know, he was
He
he
was
had it.
Raphaelin.
Anyway, finds out that's her new coworker. To make matters worse, her mother's still setting her up on dates while she sprung on Raphael. Then we hit the part that Jay is in complete denial about. Homie finds out she's pregnant with Raphael's baby, still going out on dates, especially with the man that was her childhood love who took her virginity.
Oh, the way I want to fight
This
Elijah.
cheese may, this cheese may literally had me on the edge of my seat. I was eating it up, all right? I don't know why Jay tried to downplay this story, this little fake love triangle, because let's be real, we always knew that Azere was going to end up with Raphael.
I didn't even
It was
consider a
everything
love
that I needed and more.
triangle. Like, that didn't even occur to me.
It's a love
I
triangle.
promise you,
Homie
the
was
love triangle
pregnant.
never even occurred to me. You're right. It never even occurred to me. I just was like,
Yo.
Okay, so check it out.
Real
talk.
Read this book, you need to read this book.
You need to read it. Okay. Let's get into like the nitty gritty. I feel like we're kind of talking around in circles. Let's get into the nitty gritty. I want to start by saying I think that Jane Igaro, hope I said it right, is a phenomenal writer. I thought this book was so well written. With that being said,
oh no,
if if I did not have to do this podcast, I would have absolutely DNF'd at page 43. Page 43, I'd have been like, nope, I'm done. Nope, I reject this.
I feel like you hate the accidental pregnancy trope so hard.
It is literally the worst thing you can do in a book for me. It's the worst. I can't tell you how many books I've been vibing with. And then I'm like, get this foolishness away from me!
But Jay, like, think about all the comedic moments that happened post-pregnancy announcement that you would have missed out on purely because she's pregnant. Like, you got to think against pregnant women? Is that what it is? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No.
Anti-pregnancy?
I do have a problem with fictional surprise pregnancies. Because in real life is real life. Really don't bring me real life stress in a fictional book. Please don't.
The whole book is real life stress. What you mean?
Actually, you're right. I'll tell you, this book stressed me. This book, I can't tell you how many times I was like, this book makes me need therapy. Like, so many times. Okay, so hold on. Let's get into the top of it. So the way that they met, yes. I actually really loved. Okay. She had a horrendous date with a man that her mom set her up with. And he was like chauvinistic and just misogynist and just vibes. Yeah. And so she just wanted to like knock off the date with a nice little drink at the bar, nice cute little spot, whatever.
It was super cute meet cute between the two of
them. And it was so genuine. And like the instant spark, especially when you come off of a bad date. Like the instant spark, I was here for it. Raphael?
For it.
Okay.
Yes.
Listen, I have been on record to say that Jasmine Guillory is the only woman that has written a book boyfriend for me. Raphael got really close. Really, really close. He wasn't all the way there for me, but he got really close. He is a good man.
Emotional damage.
He is a good man.
Emotional damage.
Oh, you were all in with Raphael?
That's all I'm saying. I think I was 85 to 90% in with Raphael.
Okay.
That's a high rating in my book. Jay will tell you that there is one man and one man only that is my number one book boyfriend, and he has been that way since like August.
You are so adamant about your book boyfriend. I can't even appreciate him that hard because I feel like I'm like cheating. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he's great, respectfully. Yeah, Raphael was amazing. He was an amazing man through and through, and I loved how he took so many things in stride because they met there by chance.
So many things.
Had some fun that night. Also, it's funny. I kind of felt like you're so funny. It's funny. Like halfway through the book, I was like, could this be considered closed door? And then like we kept reading. I was like, no, it's not. But it was almost there.
That was the weird thing to me. It like tiptoed closed door.
Yeah, I was like, the door is cracked. It's not all the way closed, but it's not all the way open. It's a cracked door.
Like I felt like I was peeking in through the window, and I was not.
So creepy.
That's how I felt. I was like, am I supposed to know what they're doing between the sheets? Or like,
that is so creepy. Please don't like ever describe it like that ever again.
Hey, no kink shame, all right? Voyeurism is a thing.
That
no
is true.
That is
true, but just please don't describe it like that. You sounded like you weren't invited. It was weird.
Just wondering if I could come in.
Oh my God.
Close the blinds for you.
Yeah. Know? And then she actually pulled, she kind of pulled the typical, stereotypical dude move and left him. and no contact, no nothing, was just out.
No. Let's get into the characters here, because I feel like some character arcs I was here for,
Mm-hmm.
and then there were some where I just went, but how did we get here? Okay.
Okay.
So Izere, I loved her character arc of dealing with, making a really strong commitment to her father and really trying to uphold it in that battle of how do you honor a deceased loved one but still be true to who you are. She
Yeah.
really loved Raphael, but she was determined to uphold her heritage and make her parents proud,
Yeah.
um, which I thought
It's
was amazing.
I think it's really beautiful what she tried to do. It's really interesting because, like, as a first generation reading, like as a first generation American reading this book, I could feel all of like the restraints and all the things that she felt. But at the same time, I just felt such remorse for her because I was like, girl, that's the whole point of going to like a country like that in Canada where it's like a fresh start. Like, yes, you remember everything you come from, but you go there to do things differently. Like it is different.
Reading her story on its own was fantastic.
Okay.
But then we got to Raphael's story, and I feel like he had such a powerful backstory that we dipped our toe in. Um, and I feel like we could have made it stronger. For those who haven't read the book, we find out basically towards the end,
Way too late. Way too late.
way too late for it to really be impactful. I feel like that he was
I'm gonna
married, and
disagree. I'm gonna disagree. I think it was impactful, but it was way too late in the love story. Is way too late in the book.
I feel like it was impactful, but it wasn't as impactful as like she really could have used it to develop him and
Mm-hmm.
him as a man. What I was saying is for those who haven't read the book, we find out that Raphael was married and his wife was 9 months pregnant when they died in a horrible car accident. And that, to me, I felt like, number one, such a gut punch, because damn, bro, to live through that and now you have another woman pregnant, that fear of losing her and the baby again, it's got to be tough. And there's a lot of breakups to makeups in this story, so it's very, very much on his mind. But the way she wrote it in such a mystery that by the time we got to it, I was like, oh, that's it. I was really thinking something horrible was the mystery. Like, I was like, yo, is he like, what's wrong with
That
this
wasn't
man?
enough.
In my head, the way my head built it up, I really thought
Okay.
I thought he was still
I thought he
married.
was still married.
Like
Yeah, I did think he was like still married.
I
But
thought,
I honestly felt like this was kind of worse.
like, for me, him being married to someone else and having a whole nother family on the side would have been such a
Uh,
worse gut punch
that's true.
in
That's true.
terms of like she's upended her whole life. At one point, her mom stops talking to her
She chose
over this
him.
relationship.
Yeah, she chose
So
him.
if I were to find out that he was treating her like a side piece, like a jump off, oh, I was driving to Canada to find Raphael.
Especially with him, because wanting her to like walk in, like like wanting her to like move in and everything like that too. Yeah, it's interesting because like their relationship moved super fast because of the surprise pregnancy. Although I will say this is a surprise pregnancy condition that I'm okay with. Like they did all the precautions. They did protection. It was just kind of one of the things where it was just like the 99% or like the 1% or whatever the percentage is. So like of all of the ones, that was the one I kind of respected the most. If you're gonna have one, but yeah, their relationship moved super quick. It was one night stand to, oh, we might actually have feelings and might want to try this, to you already got a bun in the oven and it's cooking, to, oh yeah, my entire family will hate you because you're you, and they take family and community super seriously, and yours isn't even here for them to like try to connect with, and then also you're really pale. Like I think that was the part they were like, oh, the kid's gonna be a different color.
The way they kept calling this man a white man, even though he's Hispanic or Latino or some sort, Latinx,
Yo, It cracked me up because every time they said that, I was like, at the bare minimum, he's a spicy white. Come on now.
A spicy white. Yo, if you could see my Goodreads updates, literally at one point, I just did a percentage update and said, can we please stop calling this man white? Like, I think it was kind of just like she was using white as in a term of like anything but that's not Nigerian and of the tribe. You know what I mean?
Mm. What I thought was very interesting and why I thought it was significant that he was Spanish is the fact that they too have very big on family and community and everything like that. Like they value a lot of the same things. So it was kind of one of those things where like if
Which became a problem.
true, but it was like if you were to ever reject a person, like this is one
Yeah.
that comes from like a very rich cultural history, you know. So it's not like they're just like, oh yeah, it's not like she was getting like which is a regular like
Yeah.
I don't know like a Canadian or an American where they're kind of
Right.
just like yeah we don't really know where we're from, you
Yeah.
know. Well, I don't know Canadians, you know, but in terms of in America, like if you find
Right.
people that are like a couple generations in, they don't really take to hold true their like previous cultures. But it's like for him, it was like
Mm-hmm.
no, the Spanish culture, they're gonna keep a hold of it for sure.
I have to talk about a moment in this book because number one, if you know me, you know that once I read a book, all of it goes out the window. I can't hold on to it for anything. And number two, it was the funniest moment in this entire book to me. And I promise you, I still remember it almost a week and a half after reading this book. Can we please talk about the moment that Raphael decided to get his butt up out of bed and go mow Izere's
Loved it,
mom's lawn?
loved it, loved it. For me,
The
that was
comedic
the moment.
aspect, like obviously,
She was like, "You sent a white
that was
man
the
to
moment you
do
fell in
it."
love with him.
I didn't fall in love with him, but that was
All
the
right,
moment I was like, "He's for her. That's her man. That's her.
yeah,
That's her man. You need to stick beside him." That was the
yeah.
moment for me.
I so give a little context to it. Izere is struggling with morning sickness. Raphael doesn't even know at this point that she's pregnant because she's still trying to understand it her damn self.
Yeah.
Um, but she has promised her mother that she's gonna go over and mow the lawn. Izere goes back to bed, just completely out of it, and Raphael decides this is the moment that I'm gonna go over to this random woman's house and mow the lawn.
If
And
he
not
wanted to,
only
he would. Yeah, that was such a beautiful moment. He was like, "You're unwell, not knowing why. You're unwell. I'm not gonna let you go out there sick. What is the thing that needs to be done? I got you. Stay in bed, sir. What? What?
can we talk about
Get
the
you a man that
comedic
mows the lawn
aspect of
now."
the family?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
The family as a whole reacting to it was one of the best parts of this book. Like I literally was at work laughing in my cubicle. Mind you, I sit in an open floor plan. So like
I
I
think
was
when I
not
read
supposed to be
that part,
listening to this book.
when I read that part, I was like with my siblings, and I just started. I was like, ah! And my sister was like, "That's a reading response."
I just felt like the uncle was ready to hire him on long
They
term.
really were like trying
The
to get him
mother,
on contract because he did the line
yo,
so
and
well.
the mom switched up so quick from being mad at Izere for sending some random man to her house to being like,
He
he's
does it
coming
better than
in for food. Like,
you.
what's wrong
Word.
with you?
He was invited to get a plate and
Yeah, when
everything.
she was, when she said, he does it better than you, I was like, ma'am, if you only knew.
Also, can
If
we talk
you
about why
only
she's the one
knew.
mowing the lawn when there is a grown man and a grown other man, her uncle and her cousin in that house? And then
This
Elijah,
is a great segue.
for everything you was trying to do and get close, you ain't never touched a lawn equipment.
I just, this brings up a great point for me. And I kept wondering because obviously we're two Black women, but I am not of a tribe or of a culture. So I can't tell if this is just something that's true to like the Nigerian culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yo, moms and I got beef. Okay? Her
Yo,
behavior throughout this entire book,
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I will say this.
I don't I,
I
I don't know
am
if she's just written to culture. Hmm.
I'm first generation. Um, my mom was very strict, but I can't say that she was all that traditional about culture. But other people in my family are. And so I don't think the mom is that far off of what a reality is, actually, which was so sad. And it like kind of broke my heart during certain parts of the book. Like it really did. And there was actually multiple times while reading. I was so
Yeah.
grateful for my mom. I was like, man, I really appreciate her letting me
Yeah.
be American. Like we joke about all the time, like I'm a very Americanized Jamaican, I'm very Americanized Puerto Rican, and it's just like reading this book made me so appreciative of my mom being like, you were born here, you were raised here. This is also a part of your culture, your upbringing, your nationality, and
Yeah.
allowed me to be American. Because that was a rough read in terms of like the not and not in terms of like in general, because I feel like the sister did kind of get a little bit better reprieve because of so much pressure was on the older sister.
Hmm.
But just yeah, that freedom to just explore. And I think she said such a pivotal word. She said that like becoming a part of the Western culture of Canada was a moment of survival when she was in middle and high school. And I think
Yeah.
that's so significant because unfortunately, like I know immigrant kids, they still get teased and stuff because their culture and stuff is different. And as they're trying to like,
Right.
navigate being in a new country, they also have to navigate the social norms within their schooling. And I think Azere was just trying to like make it through. And I love the way that they Jane used the word survival because I think that was so poignant.
For me, the thing that hurt the most is that this is Azire's first pregnancy, and her mom was so 10 toes down and her marrying a Nigerian man that she didn't take 2 seconds to just be like, you know what, this is my baby's first baby. And that hurt. She went 9 months without her mom. And I remember doing like a progress update on Goodreads and just going, I don't see how you could be this way. And I mean, like the fact that she was going back to Nigerian men and being like, marry my daughter, even though she's pregnant in love with another man, that when I tell you, I literally was ready to find this woman and like throttle her myself because I was like, what's happening up here that despite the cultural differences between me and her, that we can't meet eye to eye on this topic. Like, support your daughter. All
And
that
we're
other
gonna get
shit
into reason
can
like
wait nine
another part
months.
of her being a hypocrite, but I think my biggest thing was the
Oh, we're
mourning.
going there because
Oh,
Mama
for
was
sure.
straight trifling.
For sure. But I think when the mom was kind of like, you pick him or you pick me, and she picked Raphael, which I
Mind
know
blown.
I was shocked. I was so hard and I was so proud of her. But at the same time, her mom really disowned her, which I was just like, wow. The thing that frustrated me to
Couldn't
no
come to
end,
a baby shower?
no, 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 it's not even that. Like, that was bad too, but it wasn't even that. For me, the thing that really took me off was that she was still continuously communicating to and through Elijah. You would not speak to your daughter. You want her in
Yes.
the house. You won't let her man's in the house. None of this thing
Yes.
like that. But you're still pushing this man on her. And it's just like, oh, wait, so at this point, yeah, so when she
Disgusting.
disowned her and she told her mom that Elijah was the guy that took her virginity, because her mom thought she was a virgin, LOL, took her virginity at church camp. I was so ecstatic about that because it was like she was protecting him and his identity because that was a conversation they had. And she was like, he's a virgin too. Girl, you know nothing. But yeah, the fact that the mom was going behind her back and everything like that. And I understand culturally, you're still trying to find her to have a man to have support. I understand that.
Right.
But after she has multiple times told you no, and then now you know the reason behind the no, and you're still pushing him on her, this man took her virginity, never told you, never spoke to the family, never did anything of that sort. In any other terms, he should not be an eligible man for your daughter. But yet, you're still pushing her on him. And I guess that's why I didn't consider it a love triangle, because I never thought Elijah really had a shot. His shot was no love connection with her. It was only to have a connection to the family. And I'm sorry, I do love the community and how important that is. But if that were me, I'm starting a new family. Me and this baby is step one, is the new tree.
I would say it's a love triangle purely for the fact of like Izere was so pulled back to her family and her culture and her identity that was why he had a shot. It wasn't because she was in love with him and he had a shot because of that. It was purely because out of what's the word I'm looking for, Jay? Oh no, we're usually on the other side of this
I
table.
know. Wait, hold on. Let me jump in your mind. Let me jump in your mind. What do you need? What you need?
No, I got it. I got it. Out of her duty and responsibility to
Yes.
her culture and her family, he had a shot. And
Yes.
also, what the fuck is wrong with Elijah that he said, I know she's pregnant. I know she's still in love with the baby daddy, but I'm still going to shoot my shot. How did we get here, sir? How? You should have. I'm out.
I would have respected him more and thought he would have had a semblance of a chance if he didn't run back and talk to mama every time. If his conversations with her
That
were
part.
between them, I would have respected him just a little bit more, and I would have taken his advances a little bit better, because he absolutely was weaponizing the mom and the family to get a shot with her. After she's told you multiple times the ins and outs and the whys, and you still being like, you're the love of my life, I can't move on without you because you tried, which I thought was sweet. But my thing is, she is only settling for you. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that in that pursuit, the one thing that she has the biggest issue with, and which is why she stepped away, was her connection with her mom. And you still going back to mom and telling her everything that y'all say in y'all conversations? Because why did you ask her out and the mom is calling her? Why'd you say no? I'm sorry. How does she know about that?
Let's talk about the end of this book.
You know I love drama. You know I love drama that's not mine.
As Basketball Wives once taught me, for those reality fans out there too, Elijah was a non-mother factor. But you know who
Yes.
was a factor in all of this?
Uncle?
The mama.
Oh, sure.
The mama and the uncle.
And the
All right.
uncle.
So all right. So let's get into it, right? You know, Izere finally figures out who she is and what she wants. And she storms over to really put her
Say
mom
it with her
in her
chest.
place.
Mm-hmm.
She was ready to stand 10 toes down
Mm-hmm.
on
For
this
her man.
situation. Goes into her mom's house, lets herself in. You know, it's her mama's house. I let myself into my parents' house all the time. What's up? Nobody can be found. So she
Ooh, I was
makes her way
hollering.
down the hallway,
I was hollering.
finds her mama in bed with her uncle.
I'm about to say 10 toes
And
up.
her mom got nerve enough to say, no. But finds her mama and her uncle in the bed between the sheets doing the same tangle that got her pregnant in the first place. And then her mom basically said, you're going to have to like it. You're going to have to love it because this is where we at. As if that wasn't Izire's argument when she
No,
fell
no,
in love with
no. She
Raphael.
specifically said, your dad is like dead. I don't live for him anymore. I live for
Your
myself because
dad
I'm
is dead.
alive. Girl, that's
But that was
the
the
hypocrisy.
same
The
argument
hypocrisy
you
had
were
me.
using for her to marry a Nigerian man. It was mind boggling.
Yo, the hypocrisy was
I
crazy.
literally just
The audacity off the
let's do
charts.
a reenactment of how that scene went down while I was at work. Here I am. I'm typing and I'm listening. And then my head goes, okay. Duh. And then I had to look around and make sure that no one heard what the fuck I had just said out loud, because how the hell you gonna say you're dishonoring your father by not marrying a Nigerian man, but I'm gonna fall in love with my dead husband's brother because my husband's dead and I'm not living for him anymore.
The way I started pacing, I was like, oh,
Girl.
oh, Oh,
This is what we doing now. This is what we doing now.
I love because like I said, I did not read this book straight. I had to take breaks. I had to take emotional wellness breaks throughout this book. This was one of them.
I read it all in one day.
I cannot believe you did that. I needed an emotional wellness break. And so this was one of them. I started pacing. I was like, oh no. So I started pacing through the house. I had to go get some water, cool off. Like, I was doing this with my hands because I was just wanting to yell and just, And then I was like, okay, let me come back to the book. And I love that when I dropped back in, it was her getting her voice and popping off to the mom. And I was like, yes girl. Because this is what I've been saying in my head this whole damn book.
One thing I do wish, though, is that Izire had that same moment, but with Raphael's mom, because Raphael's mom was just the Latina version of Izire's mom, and they both needed that reality check.
I agree, but I
felt like that was a missed opportunity.
I actually wish she had that moment at the dinner table, though, especially when her sister and her cousin were, like, very much behind her. Like, the moment that she had with her sister, I thought was so sweet, and I thought it was so in-depth. Like, her sister, who's 2 years younger than her, basically saying, you treated me like a child and you didn't treat me like a friend. My cousin knew you were pregnant. Your friend knew you were pregnant, but you didn't tell me your sister. And I was like, I felt that. I felt that.
Yo, shout outs to the sister, though, because the sister really was like, all y'all acting crazy.
Yo, she was ready to go.
I'm going to bring the logic.
She was ready at that table, and I was here. I was like, you go, baby sis. You go. Yeah.
Right.
This book stressed me. This book stressed me from page 22 to 43 all the way to the end. The reason why 22
but,
because
I still liked it.
Okay.
Though.
I did. So here's the thing. Let me explain this. So when we picked the book, I don't remember how we came about it, but I think it has something to do with it's one of the authors that's going to be at the festival, at the Atlanta Festival. Yes. And so I didn't do a big deep dive into like what is in it. I kind of just went like, oh, this is the blurb. It's an author. Like, great.
Jay, we literally read the blurb and said, "Ooh, that sounds good," and then we picked it. There was no.
Yeah. See, I was in denial. I was totally in denial.
Denial about what?
And I thought you were going to be a good book friend and tell me that the thing that I hate the most was going to be in it.
Hell
so I.
No. No. Hell no.
Okay, so I got a little suspicious. Like there was some verbiage that I was like, which made me go, let me go do some recon. So
I mean, she did make it very obvious. She did not try and hide it.
It wasn't super obvious.
She was like, you know, when her best friend comes up to her and she like tells about how she's in love with Raphael. Well, she tells that she hooked up with Raphael, and then she's like, in her like her head, she's like, and there's still more I haven't shared with her yet, but I'm still not 100% sure. I was like,
oh yeah, that part. But it was before this I had the suspicions. It was before that I had the suspicions. So I don't remember where we read the blurb to be like, oh, we're gonna pick this book. But there were no vibes in that blurb, which I was fine with picking the book. So when I got suspicious, I was like, let me look it up again. So I looked at another book app that I love, and I read that description, and I was like, oh my God. And then so like any little thing, I was looking for any little thing. So when she was like, oh yeah, my stomach hurts, I was like, because you had bad food or because you got a baby in there? Like, I was so like, which a take. And then she said something else, like, oh, she had a headache. I was like, because you didn't eat? Because you got a baby there.
You got low blood sugar?
Like, I was worried. So I was like on the prowl. And I will say this though, I think of all pregnancy tropes I've ever read, which hasn't been a lot because I usually stop immediately, I think this is the most well-written one. Which is why I keep saying I think Jane is a phenomenal author. I think this book is so well written. I can't say enough about how well written this book is. Like, did you see the plot twist coming? Because I didn't see them coming. This is why I had to go pacing, because I didn't see them coming. I'm not talking about the baby. I'm talking about like the uncle. Like the uncle, I did not see coming. I knew her mom.
No, I definitely didn't see the uncle.
I knew her mom when she couldn't find her and she was like, oh, she's in the house and checking the bedroom. I knew someone was going to be in the bed. I didn't know if the uncle was going to be in the bed. So,
that part.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I feel like you're in a good mood right now. So,
What are you gonna ask me?
I think it's time for you to give your rating.
You know what? I'm actually okay with
What?
going first this time too. Because
All right. All right, everybody, get ready because it's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity for us.
probably, yeah. Can I give it 2 ratings?
Okay.
Okay, I'm stretching.
No.
I'm stretching. Okay. I'm rating this book a solid 4 stars. A solid 4.
Wow.
If I didn't have to do this podcast and I stopped when I wanted to stop, it would have been a DNF. But I'm
But
happy that
it's
I
so
powered through.
good.
I'm happy that I powered through. It was a really good book. Really, really good book.
Yeah.
So it's a solid 4 for me. If it didn't have the thing that
Mhm.
I hate, it'd probably be a 5. It's that well
That's
written.
fair.
But it's a solid 4. It's a solid 4 for me.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
feel like my rating is going to shock you a little bit. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 even though I loved it and it gave me all the right vibes.
Really? I thought like Raphael would put you a little bit higher over the top. And the whole see, it's to me, this is not a workplace romance. Would you consider it one?
It's like a hint of a workplace romance.
You
Like
would get like
it's just
one
like a
kiss in the office. So
coincidence.
yeah, it's kind of just it just
One
put them in the same
kiss.
place.
They hooked up
In
in
the
the
office.
freaking break room. They hooked up in the break
Oh,
room.
I did
Her
forget
booty
about
was
that.
on the
I'm not
counter
calling
next
that.
to the coffee maker.
Okay, first of all, I forgot about that. But I'm not calling that a hookup.
Would you like some creamer or some booty? Like, would you like both? Like, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot about that. I was talking about like in the conference
Right.
room after they told HR and then they just had like the one kiss and where the whole office was watching. That's what I was referring to.
Oh,
So
and then there's also the nosy receptionist who was like, "Y'all ain't been kissing. What's going on?" And I was like,
were all up
"Mind your
in their
business.
business. All up
Mind
in their
your
business.
business."
Although I kind of respect the fact that everybody was like, yo, Raphael, we all tried and you're the only one that did it. Like, my bad.
Like dapping them up, like, "Yo, bro, you did
They
it."
were like, yo, we all never had a shot. How'd you do it? So I respected that. Yeah.
While I love this book and it gave me so many of the right vibes, there were moments that just made me go, eh, you know? Like
Was it the
number
mom?
one, I mean, I would have kept it at a 5 if it was just the mom and her behavior because
Okay.
for me I felt like that was just cultural and because I don't come from that same tribe, it just wasn't clicking with me, but I felt like it
Mm-hmm.
made sense for what Jane had like laid out there.
Laid out, yeah.
Um for me it was like number one, the pregnancy part was very obvious and there was no hiding it. Like I knew immediately something wasn't right there. I felt like Raphael as a character, like with his family and everything, we didn't get the same treatment that we got with Azere and her family. Like it
True.
almost felt like his side of things were sort of like an afterthought of like, oh, I guess I should kind of make
Mm.
him more well-rounded. Like I would have loved that his sister sat him down the same way her sister sat her down and would have been like, yo, get your head out of your ass. That would have
She
been
did, but again, it was like all of his reveals were very late in the book. I really would have appreciated if they
right.
came sooner, and us as an audience knew, even if Azure didn't know. Azure didn't know. So,
Exactly.
and I love Selena. I really did love Selena. I want to be friends with her. Also, I felt like his quote unquote riches weren't explored enough, specifically because in the Nigerian culture, that would have, I don't want to say would have made a difference and the family would have like accepted him, but the fact that he was very well off financially and could have provided the same life that the medical
Right.
doctor Elisha could have done, I think that should have been
The
just like
offset.
hit hard more. Like I think it was like, listen,
Right.
we got the vision, his penthouse, the 2 luxury cars, the dog sitter whenever
Exactly.
you want because that's not cheap in a big city. The job that he has. So like we
Right.
had the clues as an audience, but I don't think it was ever presented to her family, and I feel like that could have been significant of like a olive branch in terms of like, I'm well off, your daughter will be well off as well.
Right. Um I will say to our viewers, if you haven't read this book, make time, go read it.
Read it.
I
Great
mean, it's
read.
a 4 out of 5. Like,
it stressed me, but it was a good stress.
like, yes, it can be stressful, but don't you want that in a book? I want to be on the edge of my seat.
Do I
No?
want?
Okay.
It was a really
No?
good read.
Okay.
It was. I can't say I haven't come across like great writing like this before, because I absolutely have. But it's like sometimes you just read a book and you're like, oh, this is a good book. Boom. For me, I think I will rave about the writing of this book for a while. It was so well written.
Yes.
It was such a well written book.
Absolutely. So I want our viewers to do me a favor. Please do me a solid. Why are you making that face?
I don't know. What are you gonna say?
I would love, if you've read this book, comment down below. Tell me if you would suggest this book to other people, especially if you hate the pregnancy trope. Tell me down below, would you read this book and how high did you rate it on your list? Because Jay and I could sit here till we blue in the face.
Wait, did we rate it the same?
Wait, we did.
Is this the first time? I think this may be the first time we've rated the book the same. That's wild.
Did hell just freeze over?
Jane, you did that. You did that, Jane. Because we never.
Props to you. Join us next week while we fight over ratings when I rate something very high and she rates it very low.
Is that book next week? That's likely.
Yeah, it's definitely likely.
It's because of a preference. It's likely. It's because of preferences.
Honestly,
I love our book relationship though, because we do not like the same things, but we so respect like our respective like likes and dislikes, and then we're still able to enjoy it collectively, which I think is beautiful.
Perfect. All right, y'all. I think it's time for us to wrap this episode up. Thank you very much for tuning in again. I appreciate, well, not just I, Jay also, we appreciate
I do too.
All the love and support. Do us a favor. Go out in the world. Don't be an acacia. If you know the reference, you know the reference. If not, keep watching. We'll figure it out together. Have a good one. Once again, I'm Chelsie. This is Jay. And this is the Lone Limit Podcast. Peace.
Come back to us.